Hey kids, this is Miss Morrison. Hey, this is the second time I videoed this because I accidentally put one of your ID numbers on the board. My bad. Okay, so 1.2 is about linear and rational equations, and linear means like the letter X, but if we would have X squared, that'd be something else. So we're not going to see X squared up in this section. And rational means we're going to have fractions, but nothing crazy that we can't handle. Okay, the first couple of examples in your homework say like simplify. Yeah, okay. So simplify means PEMDAS, and we want our answer to come out like number X plus another number, or whatever letter we're using. Okay, so first we're gonna P parentheses. So 4 times only the stuff in the parentheses. So we still have that 14 plus 4 times 5, 20C, 4 times -3, minus 12. And then we're gonna combine like terms. So that 14 and that minus 12, I think makes a +2. And then there's still a 20C up on there. And bam, done with that problem. So since there's not an equal sign, we don't solve for C. But if you look at these next couple of examples, they all say solve. And when you solve, you kind of go backwards of PEMDAS. You actually do SADMAP. What? Yeah, crazy. Okay, so if I want to get X by itself on this first sucker, there ain't no subtract, there ain't no add. Oh, but there is a divide. So what's the opposite of divide? Multiply. So we're going to multiply by 3, both sides. And we get X equals 8, 16, 24. Woohoo! Yeah, easy peasy. Okay, let's look at this next example. It looks like there's subtraction because of that -2, but that X minus 2 is actually part of the P parentheses. Yeah, so there's 2 ways to do this problem. One way to do it is in green, where you distribute the 3 and you say like, 3 times X, 3X, 3 times -2 minus 6 equals 18. And then you finish it, you add 6 to both sides and you get 24. And then you divide by 3 and you get 8. So that's one way to do it, like where you just distribute. But this one's kind of nice because since there's nothing over here to the right of this second set of parentheses, instead of distributing, if we wanted to, we could just straight up now tell me, divide by this 3 right here. Yeah, so we can only do this because there ain't nothing after this second set of parentheses. Yeah, so I can divide by 3 and I get, bam, X minus 2 equals 18 divided by 3, 6. And then finish it by getting rid of the subtract. So add 2. And we get X equals 8. Woohoo! Yeah. Okay, let's look at this example. I could divide by that 7 if that darn X wasn't sitting there in the front. So if this X was not sitting in there in the front, I could totally divide by 7. But there's an X there. And if I divide him by a 7, I get a fraction. So, if this X was maybe 14X, yeah, if it was maybe 14X, then I could totally divide everything by 7 because that 14X could be divided by 7. But anyway, it's just a good old X, so I can't divide. So I'll have to do that whole distributing thing that you probably did on the last problem. So I'm going to keep the X there because it's not in the parentheses to multiply with the 7. And then I'm going to distribute that -7. So the whole -7 times X is -7X. The whole -7 times 4 is -28. The whole -7 times 14. Oh, I tricked you. Okay, so don't multiply the 7 with the 14 because the parentheses tells you what to stop multiplying. So I'm just going to bring down that 14. Then we're going to combine like terms. And this naked X has my good friend Juan on it. So 1X minus 7X is -6, but keep the but, keep that x. Minus 28 equals 14. Then let's go ahead and subtract it. So get rid of the subtraction. So plus 28. Oh gatos, I don't know that. -6x equals 2. I think it's 42. Okay, good. Then to get rid of that -6, it's multiplied, and the opposite of multiplied is divide. So we divide by -6, and we get x equals -7. Yeah. Okay, before we get on to these suckers, these have fractions in them, and let's just practice finding the LCD of something. Okay, so if you look at these reminders that I put online, we've covered step 1, where if there's a number on the outside of the parentheses and there's stuff inside, that's what this example was. These are how-to steps for how to solve for x. Step 2 says if there's a number outside and there's stuff inside and outside the parentheses, then distribute. We did that right here. Step 3 says something about fractions. We haven't done that. Step 4 says subtract, add. We did that in this sucker. Yeah, okay. Step 5 says DM, divide, multiply. We kind of did that, where on this x over 3, to get rid of the 3, we multiply by 3. We haven't done anything with exponents. The only thing we haven't done is all this fraction sorcery. So if we look at step 3, it says if you have x over a number to make a fraction, you have to come up with something called LCD. Okay, so let's look over here on the right for LCD practice. It says only find the LCD. So to find the LCD, what we do is we think in our head of the multiplication facts. So if I'm thinking of the multiplication facts of 12, it's 12, 24, 36, 48, okay? Then if I think of the multiplication facts for 3, I see 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, okay, no, I still need to do more. 21, poop. 24, poop. 27, If I think of the multiplication facts of 24, it's 24, 48, 72, I think. And the LCD is the lowest common multiple, only it's in a denominator, so it's called the lowest common denominator. So let's look for the lowest common multiple. I see 12 in these two suckers, but this one doesn't have 12. So I think the lowest common is 24. So my LCD is 24 for sure. So LCD is like saying, what's the lowest common multiple of the multiplication facts? But since it's in the denominator, that's why they call it LCD for the denominator. Okay, also our LCD has to have all of the denominators inside of it. So I see the 24 inside, it's right there. 3 is technically inside 24 because 3 times 8 is 24. 12 is inside 24 because 12 times 2 is 24. But X ain't in there, so I need to tack on an X. So my LCD here would be 24X. Let's look at part C. I don't know where part B is. Whoops. Okay. If I think of all the multiplication facts of 5, I get 5, 10, 15, If I think of all the multiplication facts of 10, I get 10, 20, 30, Yeah. So my LCD is the lowest common multiple, only it's in the denominators. That's why it's called LCD. So my lowest common multiple is 10. So my LCD is definitely going to be a 10. And then we actually use the highest exponent of the letters. So I got an x and an x squared. I'm gonna use the highest exponent, squared. So that's my LCD. We'll work on these next two in a second. So let's maybe whip out these two examples because they're kind of small, and then I'll do a different video for the next ones. Okay, so if I were to think of all the multiplication facts of 4, I'd get 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, blah, 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 blah. If I think of all the multiplication facts of 5, I get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and the lowest common number is 20. So my LCD is definitely going to be 20. And oh poop, look at this naked 12. He is my good friend. 1 underneath. And the multiplication facts of 1 are 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, all the way to 20. Okay, so let's look at our how-to steps. If there's a number with parentheses, nope. Number, parentheses, nope. Step 3, if there's a fraction, yes, factor all the denominators. And that's only if there's a GCF or difference of squares, like with an X in the bottom. But we don't have any X's in our bottoms. Hallelujah. So we're going to go to part B, create the LCD. We did 20. Multiply all the tops by the denominators. This is the awesome part. We're going to put a big fat dot and a 20, big fat dot and a 20, big fat dot and a 20. Just on the tops. This is a trick. And then part D says cancel or divide to make the fractions disappear. So this is when we get to do magic. 20 divided by 4 is a big old fat boy 5. And there's still a times X up there. Then we have an equal sign. Then 20 divided by this 5 is 4 with a big fat dot X, minus 20 divided by 1 is still 20, times 12 is minus 240. So this is a trick to make the fractions disappear because the number we slap on top gets divided by the number on the bottom to get a big old fat whole number. Okay, and then we finish it. I could subtract 4x, and we get my good friend 1x equals negative 240. But then 1x is the same thing as just x equals negative 240. Yes. Okay, on this next sucker, let's not do it all the way. Let's just start it. The multiplication facts of 12 are 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72. Okay, the multiplication facts of 10 are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Hot dog, I found it. It's 60. So if we're desperate, we could have said 12 times 10 is 120, and we could have put a 120 on all these tops, but that wouldn't be the lowest common denominator. So my LCD is 60. And then now we're going to take that 60. If we're looking at our how-to steps, it's not number 1, not number 2. We're on number 3, not part A, because that's with the X in the bottom. We just did part B, LCD, part C. Multiply all the tops by the denominators. So we're going to multiply all the tops by the LCD. So we're going to slap a 60 times, 60 times, 60 times. Oh gosh, I don't know what that is. And now we do the whole division thing to make the fractions go away. So we get 60 divided by 12 is 5. But darn it, there's just still a times 5x on the top. Equals, let's go to the next sucker. 60 divided by 10 is 6. But there's still a times x. And then 19 times 60, oh god, toes. Oh no. Okay, I think it's plus 1140, hopefully. Okay, and then we finish it. We say 5 times 5x is 25x equals 6x plus 1140. And then next you would subtract 6x, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's all for video 1.